Well, Verletta, it's really nice to spend some time with you. A lot of conversations with school leaders around topics that I think can resonate with parents and families and communities all around the U.S. I think the perspective that is really interesting with your work in your district is the size and scope. Baltimore can be seen as a beacon in that way because you have so much to manage, everything from large budgets to just large staffs and students.
Yeah.
What is it like when you are able to congregate with other school leaders of districts of different sizes and the types of conversations and questions they have for you in managing the size and scope of Baltimore?
I think that's what's great about being a learning organization. And when you're a lifelong learner, that's exactly what it means. It means collaboration. It means sharing those thoughts and ideas. It's really critical for us to engage in those conversations together about what we're doing, how we're going about the work. So it's about the structure, it's about the process, it's about our overall goals and the expectations for our students. And so we share those common goals. So why not share those best practices as well?
What's that responsibility like, or do you feel it as a sense of responsibility when we have districts that are, hundreds of students up to, right, the big metropolitan and urban districts? What is that like for you?
I think that whenever we're talking about any school system, large or small, we're all working toward those standards for all students, making sure that all students have that access to those high quality curriculum and content, and looking at the human side of the students as well. So whether or not you're a small district or a larger district, we still have those kind of expectations for our system, and we can still share, although scope and scale does matter in terms of making sure that it still feels small, even when it's a larger organization. So the challenge for larger organizations is to make sure that that service and support to students still feels small. And that's why when we get together, that helps. It helps when we can share those best practices.
Normalizes things too, right?
Absolutely.
Let's go down a slightly sensitive path, and that would be in the diversification of district leadership around the U.S.
Okay.
Had a lot of conversations with those that are aspiring superintendents around the topic around integrating in more minorities and women into positions so that we can be representative of the communities we serve and provide opportunity to young people that may have not existed from a visual perspective, that it is a possibility.
Yes.
It is a path of opportunity.
Yes.
Your reflection on that and where you see that and how that is either grown or areas where we still need to improve.
Absolutely, we need to improve so that our school leadership is reflective of our communities and reflective of our schools. But I think that answer really starts with teacher recruitment and getting more teachers into the pipeline, more teachers of color, of various backgrounds into the teacher pipeline. So it doesn't even begin with a conversation with administration. We need to make sure that we're making teaching an attractive profession beginning with our youngest learners, and to show them that that is a pathway of opportunity and that it is a noble profession and one that has mission with it as well. So I'm fortunate to have two daughters who are interested in teaching, and although sometimes
good role model there, right? Yeah.
Sometimes, though, I've heard others try to talk them out of it.
Really?
And I understand that it's a difficult job in that, but anything worthwhile is pretty difficult.
And does that speak to the narrative, and really not to gloss over it and call it marketing, but in the messaging, so that even with your daughters seeing you, right,
Yes.
and being proud of mom's accomplishments, that they're still hearing some naysayers out there saying, why would you go down that path?
Yeah.
So it almost puts leadership in a position of all levels, classroom or building administration or district administration, in thinking about the message that gets out there, that we really are marketing a brand as an industry.
We are, and so then we look at the challenges, and opportunities for any profession. That's the way that we should go about any profession, and so we should have that honest dialogue. But the service that goes into the role of a teacher is as unlike anything else, I believe. So we have to promote that type of service and that type of support to our students and to their families is remarkable and is something that we all should aspire to, in my opinion. So I'm rooting for my girls. They're still teenagers right now, but and of course I'm promoting teaching as a profession for them. But that administrative question really comes into play, I believe, when we start talking about that teacher pipeline.
Let's take a little bit of a left turn and talk about being a chief academic officer and the role that CAOs play not only in providing and executing a vision, but also in integrating in the business community that helps to serve from a solution, a technology perspective. And just, I don't know if a lot of people understand all that goes on for you and your contemporaries in moving a district forward, working with superintendents. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I have a wonderful opportunity to work across the board, not only overseeing the curriculum processes, revision, the development of curriculum, but also the implementation of curriculum. And with that comes those conversations with governing boards, the Board of Education, with some of our elected officials, some of our business partners as well. It is a far-reaching kind of a position so that we can make those connections. The CAO then serves as the liaison and serves as the bridge, if you will, to make sure that that communication happens. It is paramount, though. Those types of conversations are critical in that we have to have those talks together. We have to shape products and services. We have to lend our voice to those businesses who are shaping the products and services for our students. We have to lend our voice to that. We are with our students every day. We know what they need. We know what their families need. And so we have to be a part of those critical conversations at the very beginning of the product and service development so that they're shaped to meet the needs of our students. In terms of the business aspect, it is a business, and that we can't just discount that. So we do have to be fiscally responsible. We have to be prudent in how we're making decisions. We have to be thoughtful. And we have to make those decisions based on what we see and based on what the data is telling us every day.
Do you find, I find that there's sometimes a challenge, there's a caution in pushing out that education is a business, in fear from leaders in districts that if they say that, then they're somehow omitting the teaching and learning. And those that say, well, it's always teaching and learning first, it feels like we're struggling to put them both on the table. And yet, it seems like if we're going to be progressive and really serve the needs of our students, your daughters, my children, they have to be able to sit at the same table as concepts. Am I right in that, or do you?
We are in the business of teaching and learning. We are in the business of educating students. And by business, I mean that there are certain things that corporations have to consider. The changes in the world, changes in the marketplace, changes in what the demands are. So in terms of that whole supply and demand. Well, the same thing is true for education, that there are changes in education as well. There are changes in standards and changes in the way that we have to go about the teaching of those standards. Changing in pedagogy. And so when we're looking at how we need to go about those changes, particularly in a large district, we do have to consider the professional development. We have to consider those budget aspects.
The impact, right?
The impact, right? And all of those policies and processes and that go into any type of change management.
Well, Baltimore is lucky to have you. And here's to your daughters, hopefully continuing in your path. Thank you so much, Verletta.
Thank you.